Many Shades of Pink and Black Health. Many Shades of Pink and Black Health, where good health equals long life.
Welcome to the Many Shades of Pink and Black Health radio program on kblkradio.com, sponsored by Many Shades of Pink. I am your host, breast cancer survivor and advocate. My co-host, Dr. Suzanne Afalo, is on a well-deserved vacation. So my special guest today is my friend and my survivor sister, Rosalyn Williams, breast cancer survivor, and lead volunteer for Coleman San Diego Circle of Promise. So today our topic is the after effects of surviving breast cancer. As a breast cancer survivor, you basically tend to think that after everything is done, your treatment, everything, you think that you're going to return to some kind of familiar and normal. So however, as the song say, it's not over until it's over. But when you've had breast cancer, you discover that it's not over when it's over. So for those of you that would like to join in on our topic and discussion, call in at 619-919-4745. So, Miss Roz, thank you for being here on the Many Shades and Pink and Black Radio Health radio show. Thanks for being here today.
Hello, Wendy, and thank you for having me.
So tell us a little bit about yourself and your family.
So, my name is Rosalyn Williams, and I'm a two-time breast cancer survivor. I'm 55 years old. Like I said, I was born in South Bend, Indiana, and I've been living in San Diego, California since 1989.
Okay.
And
do you have a son? Do you have grandchildren?
Yes. I have one 35-year-old son named Andre Williams, and I have two beautiful grandchildren, Drazen Lamar, who's 6, and Desire Williams, who's 5.
Okay. So how long have you been a breast cancer survivor?
Oh, my first diagnosis was in October, so that made me 14 years, October 7th. And then back in June 2013, I was diagnosed a second time.
Okay, so when you say you're a two-time breast cancer survivor, so the first time when you actually got breast cancer, what was your stage?
Stage 2.
So you was a stage 2?
Yes.
Okay. Explain your particular stage of breast cancer so that our audience can understand a little bit about your stage of breast cancer.
Okay. Well, when I was told back then, like I said, 14 years ago, I said I had no idea what was going on with my body. All I knew was I put a death sentence over my head because it was real scary. And prior to that, I didn't know of anyone in my immediate family who had been diagnosed with breast cancer before until I talked to my mother about it. According to my doctor, she said I was in a stage where it was very much, they can get rid of it.
So basically, he said that it was curable.
It was curable, yes.
Okay, and treatable.
Yes.
Okay, all right. So you basically, I would like for you to tell our audience for you to briefly summarize your breast cancer experience, far as the first time you were diagnosed with breast cancer and your bout with breast cancer for the second time.
Okay, well, the first time, I said I was very scared. The support, I didn't know what to turn to, was my biggest problem, because unfortunately I didn't tell my mother because I knew she was going to worry.
You didn't tell your mom?
Not at first I didn't. I told my sister. I was so scared, and my mom's a worry wart. And she knew I had went through other things, and so I told my sister. My sister ended up telling my mother.
Okay.
And so then I got the phone call. So it was, like I said, it was scary, but I didn't know what to expect, Wendy. I was just feel like I was just all alone, and living in the fear of the unknown because I didn't know anything about the support, the aftercare, or what to expect, what I was going to go through.
Okay, so during your breast cancer journey, 14 years ago, they didn't have what they have today. They don't have, a lot of people aren't, back then, they wasn't that knowledgeable about breast cancer. So when you was talking with your family, what was like your state of mind? What was, what was it like, your mental and your emotional?
Well, my emotional, I would feel like I was on a roller coaster, just going up and down, up and down. I felt like I was just going through the motions, just going around in a circle, because I was like, why me? And I started to kind of get on that pity pot, and which that's something is not good for you emotionally to put yourself through that.
So you did go through that emotion of why me? Why did cancer pick me, or was it why did God pick me?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah, it is.
That's a very good one. What is that? Why me? God punishing me? What's going on? Because like I said, both of my grandmothers on my mother and father's side, they were diagnosed with breast cancer, as well as 3 great aunts, and so that's why I was like, why? I thought this supposed to affect someone else other than me. My mom, luckily it didn't, or my sister. It just hit me, and I felt like I was being punished.
Okay. Well, that's a normal. I could say that that's a normal reaction, but more importantly, did you actually feel sorry for yourself as where you went into like a depression?
Yes, I did, Wendy. I went into a deep depression, and you know me very well. When something's going on, I kind of like fall off the face of the earth.
She sure do. Nobody ain't heard from her. Okay, everybody calling around. Have you heard from her? No, not answering the phone. Just kind of just fall off, and and everybody handle their situations different, and so when you went into that deep depression and that state of mind, how did you get back to your normal state of mind in order to battle and fight the breast cancer?
I started surrounding myself around people that care about me. Like I said, I didn't have anybody in my immediate circle who had gone through this dreaded disease, so I couldn't talk to anybody as far as that go. I talked to some strangers, but people from my church.
People from your church?
People from my church and my family. I opened up eventually. I had to, because I felt like it was killing me on the inside, keeping all this stuff inside of me. It was just driving me, crazy.
Okay, we're going to dive back into that. We have to take a quick break. We'll be right back. I'm a breast cancer survivor.
We are honoring our heroes.
I'm here today because of Susan G. Coleman's free mammogram.
We are pledging to save lives.
We're passionate about bringing the services out to the community.
We are providing free mammograms. We are providing hope.
We are more than pink.
Made possible by Anderson Plumbing, Heating and Air.
Welcome back to the Many Shades of Pink and Black Health Radio program. I'm your host, Wendy Sherrill, breast cancer survivor and advocate. And our special guest today is Miss Rosalyn Williams, breast cancer survivor and lead volunteer of Susan G. Komen Circle of Promise. Before we went on the break, you were telling us, first I'm going to mention the topic, the after effects of surviving breast cancer. For those of you who would like to join in on the topic and discussion, call in at 619-919-4745. So we were discussing your mental, of how did you actually get back into your normal mind of fighting this deadly disease?
I said by surrounding myself around positive people, people in my church,
Mm-hmm.
people in my family, my inner circle. I had to, educate them because unfortunately I didn't know anybody else as far as close girlfriends who had been ever stricken with this dreadful disease. So they kind of helped me through it. I started contacting the American Cancer Society. One of my church members had plugged me in with them, so and I started going to support groups because, as I was said earlier, I'd had the death sentence over my head, and I still wasn't quite satisfied and wondering, okay, well, did they get everything? What to expect?
Okay.
And so
when you contacted American Heart Society, what was the outcome? Were they very helpful? Were they informative? Did they give you any positive feedback where you were confident in moving forward?
I would have to say no. No, they did not. They just basically told me, to kind of keep doing what I'm doing, stay in contact with my doctors, my oncologists, my, family, whoever I was getting support from. No, it was kind of cold, actually.
Yeah, they didn't really give me any positive feedback either. I mean, nothing to where I felt confident after I spoke with them. Really, not too much.
Not too much, and I reached out to a couple of the ladies who they had told me to contact, and I did, but I didn't get much feedback and support from them, so I just basically kind of, moved on.
Okay. So, what side effects did you have when you were battling and, from chemo?
Okay. Well, I only did one round of chemo,
Mm-hmm.
and I stopped it. My doctors wanted me to do it as a precaution because they were confident that they had gotten everything, and it started making me sick.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and I just said, no, I didn't want to go through it anymore. So I kind of pulled the plug on that.
Okay. So, also, can you tell our audience what type of surgery did you have?
I had what they call a bilateral mammoplasty breast surgery. There's another name for it, and it just, forgive me, it slipped my mind. 'Cause I had to have both breasts removed because the cancer was in both breasts.
So you had a bilateral mastectomy.
Mastectomy, that's the word I'm looking for. I don't know how I forgot.
That's okay. You had a little chemo brain.
Yes.
What type of side effects did you have? I know you had radiation therapy.
Yes.
You had that the first time and the second time?
I had radiation the second time, the one you went through it with me.
Right.
The second time.
Okay, so what type of side effects did you have during your radiation therapy?
Very sick, nauseated, real sick to the stomach. I got, burned extensively on the sides because they used it to, besides kill off the rest of the cancer that was underneath the breast cancer tissue, but also to flatten out the keloids because I had scarred so bad. So they had to do an extensive round of heavy radiation on me.
So you had bad scar tissue.
Yes.
So, and that's where, for your second battle with breast cancer, so the breast cancer was actually hiding behind the scar tissue?
Absolutely, you're correct.
So how did they go about finding that?
Well, I was complaining of underneath the scar, it was hurting. I was in so much pain that the pain just did not let up.
Mm-hmm.
And so my doctor, they tried to do a biopsy, but he wasn't happy with the results of that. He said we're going to have to go back in, and that's when they went back in, and then they found the cancer, like you said, was hiding underneath the scar tissue,
Mm-hmm.
which is not that common, unfortunately. But I
Right.
was glad that they got it. They made sure that because I have the marks to show where they
Mm-hmm.
killed everything.
Right. So, what was what is your your side effects, your permanent side effects that you continue to deal with currently today from breast cancer? And and that's basically what our topic is the side effects of having breast cancer. It's basically you have collateral damage.
Mhm.
Your collateral damage just from having breast cancer. So, what are those permanent side effects that you currently deal with?
Well, unfortunately, I still deal with pain, a lot of breast pain, especially in my left breast, because that one had the most damage to it.
Mm-hmm.
And, thanks to you, who you encouraged me to get that mammogram again, because I
Right.
didn't think that breast cancer could come back.
Right. So for our audience, because Roz had a double mastectomy, she felt as though she didn't need a mammogram. But I told her because she had her own tissue uh, actually inserted as to make her new breast, and so therefore, you know, I had to encourage her because she was actually told that she didn't have to have any more. What was it? They said you didn't have to have
No
no
more
kind of
mammograms
no
or anything.
mammograms, no ultrasound, no nothing.
No, no.
And I told her as long as that tissue came from your body, that
Yes.
you needed to have that mammogram. So from that point on, she's been having these mammograms. So that's really good. So sometimes we have to, we kind of have to question. We know that they're physicians. We know that they're knowledgeable in their field, but again, sometimes they miss the boat. They don't know everything. So
Very
you have
true.
to be your own advocate.
That's very true.
And you have to speak up. You have to basically research, know for yourself what's going on with your body internally. So I always tell, anybody that I come in contact with whether it's breast cancer or just dealing with any type of disease or illness, that they have to become knowledgeable. They have to educate themselves on what's going on with them, because again, we have a medical profession that sometimes is biased to African American people in general. So you have to know what's going on within yourself, and you have to advocate for self.
You do, because I thought you were crazy when you told me.
I know you did. We
I
debated.
We did. I said, she don't know what she's talking about. She thinks she's a doctor now. And I said, no, sweetheart. I do not have to go through this again. But like I said, thanks to, Wendy, that I did go and have the mammogram then, which led to an ultrasound.
Yeah.
Then back to another mammogram because of the swollen lymph nodes that happened earlier this year, and I had to have a biopsy because they thought cancer had come back a third time, but
Right.
thank goodness it did not. It was benign.
Okay, so we talked about your permanent side effects of breast cancer. Is there anything else besides is it your left breast pain that you constantly have?
Yes, it is.
Okay,
Constantly.
and do you have anything else that you deal with?
Sometimes, I swell up sometimes. Sometimes I do swell up. My hands, my feet. and which is uncomfortable. You know, we trying to put on them cute shoes, and your feet swollen. So little things like that. But the main thing would be if I could get rid of this breast pain, especially on the left side, I would feel a lot better.
Okay. So, who was your support during your breast cancer journey? Your first, the first about, and then your second about.
My first bout, I said, was my sister, my son, my church family. Very big support system there.
Yeah, you have a very good church family. You really do. You couldn't ask for a better church family.
Really, Mesa View Baptist Church. Yeah, they really.
What is it? Well, we'll give Mesa View Baptist Church a shout out for being Rosalyn's awesome support system.
Thank you, thank you. And like I said, and then my mom, of course, when she came out, she was a big force behind my support system. This is all the first time.
Okay.
And then the second time, Wendy, you are one of my #1 big supporters. The second time, as well as my family, my mom, my sister, my son, church family again, pretty much the same people. But I was glad that you, came into my life, as you had really, helped me through that ordeal as well.
Right. So let me ask you this: did you ever feel like when you were going through, after you went through it? When will I ever get back to my normal self?
Oh, absolutely.
Did that normal ever come back?
I would say as normal as it's going to be. That's the best way I can answer that question. I take one day at a time and just keep pushing forward, and that's all I keep doing. Like you said, advocating for my health, breast health, and everything else.
Well, I have to say that the most frustrating and difficult they never prepare you. They prepare you for surgery. They prepare you for treatment, but they never ever prepare you for post-treatment. And that is something that is really missing. It's a missing piece of this breast cancer journey. Because after you have surgery, you're really thinking that you're going to get back to your normal self.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, that new normal, you have to actually adjust to it. So I had to adjust to my new normal because the old Wendy was gone.
It was gone, yes.
And I never got it back. So I had to basically adjust to the new me, my new normal, and I have to say it's very frustrating. Very frustrating.
Very.
And so we know that the two biggest hurdles that women face in their breast cancer after treatment are fatigue and chemo brain. Did you ever experience either of the two?
Tired.
Fatigue, yeah.
The fatigue, very much so. I still get tired today.
Okay, yeah. I still have the fatigue, but the chemo brain, due to a lot of different reasons, I have to say that is my most difficult frustration as a breast cancer survivor, being a powerful speaker and actually just forgetting what I was talking about right in mid-sentence. So that is really frustrating. And one of the side effects that you actually have after surviving breast cancer.
That's true. And like I said, my memory loss, I equate that to other different things. I don't know if I'm just crazy.
And you might be a little touch there. Or people want to say that, they want to blame it on age.
Age, yeah.
That's
the first thing, that
that's
goes
the first
is the
thing.
memory.
Yeah, the memory and everything. But I'm sorry, Dr. Alfalo always want to say, oh, you're getting older. And she like to say, going through the menopause. Well, I have not reached that point yet. Okay, so
and don't rush it.
And so my thing of it is that I'm going to blame it on the breast cancer, and because I know it is.
Yes.
I already know it is, and that is the most frustrating part of anything. And I'm so forgetful that if I do not write it down, my focus, my train of thought, my everything is just, it's gone. And it's very, very frustrating because, like I said, I once was, myself, I was powerful.
Well, you still are.
I was powerful, and just was a very, very deep thinker, was on a whole different level. And when you lose that, you kind of lose a part of yourself.
Yes, you do.
And so that is my life after breast cancer, and no one prepared me for that.
No, you can't.
So when they didn't prepare me for that, I was just, I did think that I was crazy.
Yes, we know that too.
And I could be a little crazy, okay?
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that. I couldn't remember a simple word as mastectomy. That just went totally over my head. It's like, well, I guess maybe I do have a little chemo brain.
So, we did talk about a little bit of your mental and your emotional, and how did that affect your relationships with your husband, whether you were in a new relationship? How did that affect you? All the way down to sex.
All right. She just go right for it, don't she? That's okay. I love her. That's okay. Well, without, dragging it out, like I said, I was married. And when I was diagnosed with my first disease with my breast, my ex-husband, not trying to knock him. There was a lot of good times.
Yeah.
But he was not supportive, unfortunately. He was not supportive, and I became self-conscious because when I had the first surgery, he was like, your breasts are so unattractive, and that's what the words he used. They're so unattractive.
Wow.
And I was like, oh, well, damn, tell me how you really feel. So I didn't feel good about that.
Right.
And then when I was
So when you say you didn't feel good about that, so you felt self-conscious? Were you insecure of your breast area? Did he actually, the words that he said, that stuck with you?
Whew, those words stuck with me. It made me insecure. It made me self-conscious. It made me angry. It made me a lot of things when he said that, because I was like, dang, I would find myself covering up even in front of my ex-husband. Didn't want him to look at me knowing how this man had said my breasts are ugly.
Right.
And I'm like, it's supposed to be for better, for worse.
Exactly.
Because you wasn't rich at the time, so we can't say.
So you weren't with him for the money, okay? So here he is. He don't have no money, but
we did all right. Now she gonna take it there, but it wasn't for that richer.
But I'm just saying, okay. So
yes, I get it.
Okay, so here he is giving you an insecurity that you didn't have before, and so this is my thought process. When he delivered that to you, when you said that you became insecure of, your top area, how did you conquer that? How did you get over that? Or are you still dealing with it?
In a way, I could say it still kind of affects me to this day. Like I said, he came back from my major surgery when they did a total mastectomy. He came back and showed up, and I was like, why? But I wasn't. This was about me. I could no longer. He was there. Okay, I wasn't gonna say get out or nothing, but
Mm-hmm.
But I just have to say, when I called and told him that I was diagnosed with breast cancer, and I was emotional,
Okay.
and he was like, well, I'm not even gonna say on air the words that he said at this point, because it was ugly. It was worse than the first comment. And I was like, and next thing I said, well, who is she? And I said, well, you want me to send you divorce papers? So that's what came out of my mouth when.
So basically you didn't have, your ex-husband did not support you in any way during your breast cancer journey. The reason why I'm asking this
Mm-hmm.
is because I've actually spoke with so many women that have endured breast cancer, and their husband, significant other,
Mm-hmm.
left them during their battle with breast cancer. And I really think that this is unacceptable.
It is.
It's unacceptable, and for a man to leave a woman because of a disease that she have to battle, and not only just battle,
Mm-hmm.
but this is a disease that could possibly kill her.
Absolutely.
And here they leaving because of some dang breasts.
Right.
You can get some new ones.
Yes. So, but you know what? Unfortunately, that wasn't, good enough. And like I said, after the journey after him, life, I knew I had to go on, and I would tell myself, mentally, I cannot let my breast define who I am as a woman.
Right.
But it was still hard. And then when it came to meeting someone else, and I was like, oh, God, please, I don't want to come to the sex part. Because then and I would always going to take my clothes off in the dark, a shame. And I would take a towel and wrap up, and it was so embarrassing. And they're like, you know what? A real man will accept who you are.
Exactly.
And won't let those scars bother you.
That's right, because those scars represent what you went through,
Mm-hmm.
what you had to deal with, okay?
Yes.
And that you battled, you fought, you conquered, and you kicked breast cancer in its butt.
Yes, I did.
So, therefore, I don't like my scars,
Mhm.
but guess what? I say, hey, they belong to me.
Exactly.
They belong to me, and at any period of time that if I get tired of looking at them, then I'll put a tattoo on them.
Exactly. You hit that on the head. 'Cause that's what I thought about doing, having my breasts, having them tattooed around there. And there were people like, why would you do that with all that ink? And I said, well, I have enough other ink other places. But
Right.
but I thought people don't understand what you're going through until they walk in those steps themselves.
Well,
So they go
a
through
lot
what
of
you
people don't understand the emotion behind breast cancer. Not only is it something physical, you're getting your body part removed,
Yes.
but they don't understand the mental, what a person actually is going through. And speaking of mental, a woman that has endured breast cancer, they tend to have anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
And that anxiety is the unknown, wondering if it will ever come back. And that is constantly that you have to deal with. And you have to overcome that little thing in your head that will constantly nag you about when or if it comes back. Now, how do you overcome that? How do you deal with that emotion and that part of the not knowing?
Whew. Prayer.
Okay, that's good.
Lots and lots
A prayer.
of prayer.
Mm-hmm.
Had to put the martinis down.
So you was doing your a little drink or two.
Yes, the champagne all over. I said, what's to celebrate? I said, well, I guess I can celebrate. I have my life. But
yeah.
like I said, it got pretty scary, and I was just like, oh my God, I'm sick of going through this. And so I just had to, like I said, get on my hands and knees and pray. I'm very spiritual.
Yeah.
I go to church all the time, but I always say I'm a CIT, Christian in training, because just don't know what may come out of my mouth sometimes. Which it may not be godly like. But that's the best thing, and the support that helps me was, praying, reading different scriptures. That's what helped me, I would say probably the most, besides, because people can only tell you so much.
Yeah, but the thing, were you ever put on anxiety medication?
No, I was not. My one doctor suggested I go see a psychiatrist.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, are you out of your mind? I said, I'm not crazy. And I'm not going to get no darn psych meds. That's not what I said exactly.
But that's not really a psych.
I know.
A psych med. It basically, it's dealing with, that feeling.
My mood.
Yeah, that feeling that you currently experience from time to time. There's a lot of women, breast cancer survivors that deal with that. Because, like I said, it's very mental.
It is.
And so they're on anxiety medications on a regular basis.
That's true, yes. A lot of them are.
I choose not to take anxiety medication. And only reason why is because I take enough medication.
Well, me too.
And I refuse to take another one. And I feel like my mental is much stronger than the anxiety that I endure from time to time of not knowing, or rather if it will come back. And so my mindset, and also I have this little spot on my back that I deal with when I get too, stressed out.
Yes.
I have this little area of my back.
I know the spot.
I'd rather pick with my little spot on my back than to take some anxiety medication. So.
Yes. Boy, did she pick with her spine.
Let me tell you, it's ugly, but it's my ugly. Okay.
Right, it's yours. You own it.
Yeah. So, okay. Besides, we didn't touch on a lot of basis of the mental, and to date, we already touched on the most difficult part of your breast cancer journey, the after, and that was you saying this your side.
Just my side, and I had to let go of, because when my nipples.
Yeah, you can explain that.
Well, briefly, like I said, my first surgeon, who I had to fire, he had cut my blood supply, the oxygen, so my nipples died.
Yeah, explain that to the audience exactly. So he cut your blood oxygen, to where he didn't have to do that.
He didn't have to do it. Like I said, the technology today is so much better than when I went through it. So just seeing other women, knowing other things, better medicine, better practices. The way he cut me, it was unnecessary.
Well, they said that back then they was just slaughtering women.
Right, and I felt like I was a victim, of that slaughterhouse, in which I did not like. And so then my new surgeon, who is excellent, and then he came along, he tried to repair what he could. The damage had already been done, and he had tried on about 4 different occasions to reconstruct my breast. Even the last time when he had me to go through and do the the radiation. And I love it when he made I told him make my nipples like quarters. And he said, "You're going to win a wet t-shirt contest." And I was like, great. He said, but unfortunately, it was only a 50% chance that they would survive because the scar tissue, they had been so traumatized. And so they were pretty. When he took the protectors off, he took extra precaution. I took extra precaution, done everything we could. As they say, cross your T's and dotted your I's is what we both done. And about an hour later, the nipples retracted back in, and that was in 2013. And so that sent me through another emotional roller coaster, and I was traumatized. And so I just decided at that point, I got to let it go. I'm alive, cancer-free.
Exactly. And so what if you don't have any nipples, okay?
Right.
So what?
So what? Right.
I know that's another thing that breast cancer, survivors endure and go through, mentally.
Yes.
So I was like, I don't care about no nipples. You can take the nipple, you can take the whole thing, just get this cancer up out of me.
True.
So I didn't care about no nipples. But unfortunately, I had a plastic surgeon that took it upon herself to preserve. They have what they call nipple preserve today. And so they were able to, save
They saved them.
my nipples. So, but again, who cares?
Yeah, who cares? I was told I was vain, a little vain. So
You were. You were, and you still are.
That's my vainness.
So tell us about your involvement with the Susan G. Komen Circle of Promise as a lead volunteer. And because we're running out of time, and I do want to touch bases on our one announcement. So just tell us, what you do with the Circle of Promise as a volunteer.
Spoil this lady rotten.
Yeah.
Spoil.
No, I'm not.
Yes, she is. Because if I can't come and volunteer, she have a hissy fit. She knows. Wendy would have got me connected with the Circle of Promise. If it wasn't for her, I did the walks with them for, years and years before Wendy was even diagnosed with her breast cancer. But she got me plugged into it, and she got me to see it from a different perspective, to help open up the doors by educating other women. And I enjoy volunteering. It's become a passion of mine because I didn't have that passion with the American Cancer Society or any of those other avenues that I went to for help. And so I go and set up the booths for Wendy, do outreach, help try to educate the women, let them know about the mammograms and how it's not as painful at all as it used to be. When I first got mine, it hurt like hell. But this time it's much different. And so I can cover Wendy's back. If she's not available and can't do an event, as long as it works into my schedule,
and what about,
I can do it.
Okay, and what about, not to cut you off,
That's okay.
but what about your experience with Sisters of Strength and the Race for the Cure that we recently had?
Oh, yeah. Sisters of Strength is great. Anybody want to join our team? You're on a good team. We're beautiful, supportive women. It's about, 5 or 6 of us who are survivors on our team?
Yeah, we have a lot of survivors. I think we have like about six survivors. And it's a very beautiful group of women. And, coming together to empower one another. And I think that's a beautiful experience.
Yeah.
But I would like to get to our announcements. Join us, Kaiser and Coleman, San Diego Circle of Promise, for our monthly community outreach event, Good Health, Equal Long Life, every third Wednesday of the month at the Big Lots here on Euclid Avenue, 1655 Euclid Avenue, and that's here in San Diego, California, 92105. Our next event is December the 20th from 10 to 6. We're offering free state-of-the-art mammograms from 12 to 6, hepatitis A and flu shots from 10 to 3, blood pressure screening, blood sugars, and HIV testing, health education, and much more. Several organizations will be providing these free services to the community. For questions about the free mammograms, you can email me, Wendy, at sdcoleman.org. Please share this announcement with your family and friends. And speaking of sharing this event, we've been providing free services in the same location for 10 months now. And you think that we have a line wrapped around the corner. So the community need to come on out and support this event, especially when we have African American women mortality rate being 41% higher than our white counterparts. So this is really where I'm getting frustrated, because we either going to have to come up with something different, but again, we're trying to service the underserved. And so we would like the community here in the Southeast to please come out and support our whole health event. It's for you. We're here in this community because we want to help. We want to educate you, and not just for breast health, but for other diseases. And we're getting down to the end of our show. And again, you have been listening to the Many Shades of Pink and Black Health radio program on KBOK Radio, sponsored by Many Shades of Pink. I'm your host, breast cancer survivor and breast cancer advocate. And our special guest today is my good friend, Rosalyn Williams. Thank you for being on the show today.
Thank you for having me. I enjoyed it immensely.
And make sure you tune in every Sunday at 2 o'clock. And be sure to go to the Coleman San Diego Circle of Promise website at www.colemansandiego.org for more information on breast cancer, and learn about a healthier me, a lifestyle change at www.ahealthiermesd.com. Thank you, and you guys have an awesome week.
Thank you.